Welcome to BAM It with John, Michael, and Mari, covering all things business, accounting, marketing, management, and IT. The place where businesses and entrepreneurs find the forest through the trees.
Hello and welcome to BAM It. I'm John Michael Cletus with Peridot Consulting, and as always, Mari, I'm going to let you introduce yourself.
Mari Peterson with Marketing Outpost. Thank you.
And today I am very excited. We are doing a podcast with three quite humbling guests today. I feel like I'm a celebrity when I'm not, because I'm with three Asheville celebrities right now. And this is the entertainment industry / what are we calling this?
Hospitality, restaurant, band.
Yeah, everything. Entertainment. So we're going to let our guests introduce themselves, and we'll just let them do that real quick. So go ahead.
Lenny Pettinelli.
And who are you with?
I'm with myself and Empire Strikes Brass and Trilateral Emission and the Wild Card and a lot of other things too many to keep rambling on.
So you're...
I can't wait to ask what those things are later.
Yeah, our musical entertainer of the day. And then we've got Morgan
Hickory, and I'm with Ole Shakeys in the newly Asheville Beauty Academy, where we are today, and Up and Up Hospitality. Things to come.
And I'm Charlie Hodge. I'm partners here with Morgan at the Beauty Academy. And we also partner at Ole Shakeys, and Up and Up seems to be that we work okay together. And beyond that, I started about 5 years ago, Sovereign Remedies, downtown Asheville.
And I was going to say, and thanks for mentioning that. We are at the Asheville Beauty Academy.
And it is not a salon.
It is not a salon, and we are drinking. What are we drinking?
Vodka sodas.
Vodka sodas, which I was saying before we recorded, this is probably the first time I've had vodka since college. So if I start slurring or getting drunk, I apologize.
We're going to kick you out.
You're going to kick me out.
That's very kind.
It'll be much better if you...
In fact, I'd probably like to see this.
Yeah, start feeding. Everybody's just going to give me their drink.
Tie you down and intravenously feed you.
But we do want to thank the Asheville Beauty Academy, which is hosting us today. And what is the Asheville Beauty Academy?
So this is really what happened. In this beautiful, beautiful building, and Lenny can attest to this being a very intrinsic part of it for years, there was the Tresses Jazz and Blues Club. And, when Asheville was still very, very not much action going on downtown, Tresses opened here and has been iconic. And you can generally talk to anyone who's been in this town for 5 years or more, and they will generally put their hand on their chest and go, "Oh, Tresses, I've had the most fun there." So Morgan and I got a tap when Tressa decided she wanted to sell her building, and fortunately a local couple bought it and asked if we wanted to take on this beautiful building. Our challenge was, how do you contend with a name like Tresses? And a really good friend of ours, Kevin Frazier, who's a local historian, he said, "Let me help you out, Charlie." And he came back a couple days later with a smirk on his face, and he goes, "In 1952, it was the Asheville Beauty Academy." And I was like, I love it. Our tagline is, "The longer you stay, the better you look." But
Very true for any bar.
Yeah.
So this was in 1952. Is the Asheville? And what was it in 1952?
It was a cosmetology school.
Really?
Yeah.
So it was literally a beauty academy.
It was.
Oh, okay. I did not know that.
And I think in this time of the world, beauty is really needed in a lot of ways, and we're playing off of that word. I love the word academy when you think about kind of all the things happening here and people's amazing skills and what they throw in the pot here. But it also just is a little bit off, and it makes people kind of question it. And weirdly enough, I love that. I love that you get into it and you really own it when you're there.
So before we get into that, I want to just say that the reason we have these three individuals here is we are continuing this whole segment on talking to people who have started businesses and because we're in Asheville, they're in Asheville as well, and talk to people who have had both success as well as challenges. That's what we all do when we start a business. And Charlie is one of those, I call him a serialpreneur. because he has started many businesses. And I want to go around the room in a minute and talk about a little bit about each other's business. But that's kind of why we were asking about what Asheville Beauty Academy is. We're going to circle back to that because it's not just a bar. And I think, he describes it and it has many different functions, like you said, with the academy. So that's what this whole series is about, is, people who are willing, daring, and a little bit crazy to start a business. Absolutely. And what does that mean? Especially maybe in the climate that we're in. It's very challenging, and Asheville has become very popular. There's a lot of competition. And these three are in businesses where there is just a lot of that. There's a lot of bands, a lot of entertainment, and a lot of bars. And how are you different? So I want to go back now to Lenny. And you started off when you introduced yourself and you talked about Empire Strikes Brass, but you also mentioned 2 other ventures. So can you describe these ventures that you're in?
Well, I really do consider myself my own business, my own brand. Like I essentially have to be as a solo artist, which is interesting because I stay so busy with all the other bands that I haven't really had time to even think about making my own solo profile, from a marketing standpoint, because I still just get plenty of work with it. And now I'm a family man and all that stuff. And to be honest, I absolutely hate all the PR and promo stuff about it. But you have to do it. You know what I mean? It's how the whole thing works. But these other, in my opinion, it's an insane profession. You have to really love any kind of art to be an artist, and so you have to diversify if you're gonna make it. You're gonna make a living out of it. So I have my own thing. Empire Strikes Brass was actually started a couple years before I joined in 2014 and 15, but that's when we really started producing original music and building more of a brand and all that stuff. Magenta Sunshine is another local indie funk soul band that I work with my friend David Einzig, who I just happened to meet up the street from the first house I lived in, just down the way from the Grove Park Inn on Sunset Mountain. And that band is actually starting to build more and more momentum now. And, I have done so many different gigs with so many different bands that gig either infrequently or all the time. Some standing trio or restaurant things, the wild card. Basically, probably I've worked with 30 to 40 different bands in town since I've been here in 2012. And Empire Strikes Brass, I would say, is my number one big band. It takes a very tremendous amount of energy. And then making sure my solo work stays at a sustainable level. Basically, I try not to get in over my head, and I never succeed. I always tell myself, okay, I'm as busy right now as I ever want to be, and then I get busier. So I think hopefully right now I'm as busy as I'll ever be, but probably not.
I think we can all in this room share the...
It's true. I did take off today. I gave away a show tonight to be here to do this.
Oh, wow.
Totally. And I was excited about it. It's I think the first day I've had off of no show, no work of any kind, because sometimes I'll do 2 or 3 gigs in a day. And so no shows today. This is, I think, the first day in 3 months.
And you are I'm going to say this wrong, pianist.
Pianist, yes.
Pianist.
You know how you are when you're pronouncing things.
She said pianist?
Pianist.
I'm secure. I'm just terrible at it. Sometimes I do it just to make fun of myself. I purposely just say something wrong. Pianist.
There it is, Yan. I like it with the Yan. Maybe you don't have to go pianist.
I have to get it out. So you are a pianist.
Yes, there it is. That's perfect.
I believe in personal dialect. Okay,
It's good enunciation, Strong.
All right.
He's not a pianist.
I was so consciously not trying to say that I think I subconsciously
Right.
probably was. Okay, so I want to get it back into. Oh, I'm sorry.
We didn't ask Morgan. I wanted to get a few minutes from Morgan about the business that she's in.
The business that I am in, running bars. So I've been doing Ole Shakeys for 4 years now.
Tell us about Ole Shakeys.
Well,
Because we know it's a unique
where to
space.
begin with Ole Shakeys?
It's a gem.
It's a gem. It's a true gem. Shakeys has been a bar for over 40 years. It's changed names a few times. Mostly a redneck biker bar for many, many years. Was kind of a scary place to a lot of people for many years. We were lucky enough to get it. Well, Charlie was lucky enough to get it 4 years ago, and I was lucky enough to walk into Sovereign at the exact right time when he was looking for help on this project. And it just made perfect sense to me because I grew up with rednecks and I just love them.
Yeah.
So, gentle, steady pressure, and we sort of moved a lot of our community into the space with a lot of time and care and respect for the people in the space, while also making sure they knew we were coming in.
You've done a beautiful job because there are people from everywhere that come in there and everybody seems to get along and really no issues. It's a fun place to be and it's casual.
It really speaks to Morgan's ability. And so she and I met, I think we were both very fortunate to land a job at a local restaurant named Chestnut, owned by two people that have really been part of the community.
So wait a minute, is that how you both got here?
We worked together there.
Oh, that's
Moved
how you
here
met.
right at the same time
Yeah.
and started working at Chestnut.
Because I did want to circle back to that, how all three of you got here, because I don't think anybody is from here, right?
Nope.
Okay, so
I'm
anyway,
from here.
going back, you were working at Chestnut. That's how you met.
We met, and I was running the bar program there and begged Morgan, who, when you know her for 3 seconds, you understand how amazing she is. And I begged her to come behind the bar and work with me, and she took a pay cut and did. But, we really kind of meshed well together. So Shakeys popped up, and turned out that it worked out. And Morgan walked in one day, or very close to that day that I took it over, and said, I know we work well together. I want to be with you. I love this place. I get it. And when we walked in there, it was basically canned domestic beer. Almost that's all that there was there, right?
Closed at 8 p.m.
Yeah, closed at 8 p.m. And, and unfortunately, this beautiful space had several owners that couldn't make it work. And I think they were really trying to confine themselves into that narrow margin. So what I'd like to think that we did is we layered it. We definitely respected the great people that have been coming there for years and the people that could invite other people into their home. And they have done that amazingly. But it was also about adding alcohol, adding late night dance parties and fun karaoke. So we really layered a lot of different people that come into that space. And it is magical, because when else, I think it's a rare opportunity that these different communities come together and share space. So yeah, I love the place. It is, I have the worst hangovers after hanging out there. we have this saying, I got shook at Shakeys, because it really, somehow, it just does it.
Yeah, that's pretty much how every story starts is, I was at Shakeys, I got really drunk.
So it started out with just canned domestic. What does it have now?
Oh, we have a slushy machine. We have cocktails and daily
We have a
specials.
little tiki
And
bar outside that does seasonal tiki
Wow.
all summer long, and an unbelievable bartender that runs that program for us. And
but the programming, like Morgan came up with the Shakeys Dog Show.
That was a lot of fun because I
we've
went
got
to
another
that.
one coming.
I was going to go and only go for like 10, 15
What is
minutes.
this?
And I stayed for like the whole 3 hours.
I mean,
Yeah.
I think it's kind of self-explanatory.
It is.
but
It's best in show.
I would like some
So-
elaboration.
Yeah, so we had
It was a more fun, more
it was
casual
so much
I'm entering
version
Daffodil.
of the What is
best
that
in
annual
the dog show.
The dog-
Well,
The dog
the
show
New
is-
Year's one.
Only I was
that
screaming
New
into a pink
Year's
megaphone.
or
If you can envision
is it
that.
New Year's Day or Christmas Day? They always have the
Yeah, the
the
puppy
dog
bowl.
show.
Puppy bowl.
yeah.
Oh, it's-
Yeah, what's that?
New Year's Day.
But this was so much
Yeah.
more fun and entertaining, and I
Yeah.
said, "Oh my God, this."
It was
Morgan
pretty- it
is
was pretty
fabulous
amazing.
at creating events, but what I hear from all three of them is they really love what they do, because if you don't love that, then you can't be as creative and come up with all these great ideas to actually take a place and make it so distinctive, because I don't think you can replicate Shakeys. Can you do that?
I don't think so.
Dare
You're
ya.
hard pressed.
Yeah.
Well, let's, so as you're saying, it sounds like you guys love what you do. And when you hear about the stereotype of your industries, you hear about the stereotype of, the bar scene, about how awesome that would be, or the stereotype as an entertainer. So what do you guys hear as your stereotypes, and what is the contrary to that stereotype and what you do?
Well, so leading up to the point of Sovereign Remedies and Shakeys and Beauty, I've been in the bar business for decades, and I've had the painful times where I've worked for people that thought, it's going to be so cool, I'm going to own a bar, it's going to be fun every night. It's like kind of absolutely the other thing. You give away fun. Like, you no longer get to have fun because you're getting the fun ready for everyone else. So the idea that owning a place, a nightclub, or being in this environment is just a party all the time is completely not my experience,
Well, and I think if you live that life, you don't last very long.
Right.
No. And yeah. And you're the adult in the room trying to make sure everyone else is having fun.
Now, would you say that's the same with you, Lenny, or would you say
I
something
would
different?
say it's slightly different. You guys are on the hospitality entertainment side. I'm on the performance entertainment side. So outside, I like to think of it as I get paid for loading in and out of my gear and my time. And everything else is fun, though. And even the time, like,
Because you have a great time
the
on
more
stage.
you get me for, the less I charge for that time. Not only because for bulk pricing, but because, again, the hard part, what I'm really charging for, is like me getting myself, my gear there. You know what I mean? The music thing, like, I have to do, and then it still makes me, it's basically fun for me to work. I am giving away fun in that same way, and it sucks that I can never go out and see, like, my friends. Very, very, very rarely do, unless I'm on a festival or something, and I get to see the bands before and after us. But I hardly get to go out and see my friends play and, like, support other bands in the community, other than to just know about them, buy their stuff, support their stuff,
I never
check
thought
them
about
out,
that.
follow them online, and support them in this community as
And
best I
vice
can.
versa, too,
But
I'm
they're always just as busy as
Yeah.
well, and so we all very rarely get to, like, check each other's stuff out if you get busy to that point. But yeah, so for me, I feel like I still have fun. That's at least my mantra, even when I start to get a little like, when I have been working as hard as I've been working recently, and I'm like, one more show. And I say, what can I do to make this one fun and interesting? What new songs can I add to my repertoire? Sometimes I'll forget a song that I maybe played like 3 years ago, and I used to play it all the time, and for some reason it just spaced itself out, and I get back to it, and I'm like, that's all. And so I tell myself before every gig, I say, like, I am going to fall in love with it and play this music like I do every time, and try to give away. I do feel like it's like chi, or like a piece of my soul, that I expose, that I like try to leave out there every single time that I play. So that part of it is actually also physically taxing. It's not like just the gear, like giving away the music, that is physically taxing, but it's also rewarding to to do it. If you're an artist that like needs that outlet, then it's rewarding to do it. It is very hard work though. And so back to the stereotype question, like I would say that most people think musicians are incredibly lazy, that we're all broke, that we're all just kind of floating like the Forrest Gump feather, you know, do 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 do. But I mean, I work my ass off to make a living because it is not an easy profession, and I have to very carefully balance what I love doing as an original artist with serious money in like the cover band, corporate, wedding-y kind of situations.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the only way to really make a living is to create a brand that is worth something, but then also to supplement it with other high-paying gigs, because no band, at least no band that wants to make it forever, unless they're making $5,000 a night, then yeah, of course, like go out there every night and stack as much as you can. But like at the basic rate that bands are getting paid to make original music, anywhere below the top, like I don't think there's many bands going out there just like every night doing it. There's always downtime. And in that downtime, I feel like you still have to have some income coming in. Our band's in an interesting position. We have 4 people in the band with families out of 9 of us. And so it's hard for us to leave for longer than a weekend warrior trip. The biggest thing we did was go out to Colorado this past summer, and we were out on that trip for a week. So that's always a careful balance. So yeah, people think that on the stereotype thing, you know, they think we don't quite have our stuff together. We don't have our act together. You know, that's kind of rent drifters, couch surfer, you know, broke musician type. And I would argue that this place, service industry perspective, hospitality performance, like when you move here, if you want to stay here and fall in love with this place or any place, if you like where you are, you come up with a goal, like you're gonna work to do whatever you're doing, or otherwise, once you make a decision to kind of stop drifting around, I love this place, I want to set down roots, especially with the family, then the choice becomes clear. Like you really have to work hard and follow up with every opportunity, every possibility that that may come about. So yeah, I'm okay with that stereotype. Like obviously I'm not trying too hard with my crazy, what does my wife call me sometimes, woolly booger appearance. You look like a crazy woolly booger with that beard. Look how far out it stretches. So I just don't like shaving.
Yeah.
So that's all that is. But I on appearance wise, and I suppose many philosophical ideals and stuff, I fit that stereotype. But in terms of like hard work, 70 to 80 hour weeks, sometimes in between all my performance and administrative stuff, and I don't make like a crazy amount.
Yeah, so the time put in versus the return, so it's a lot of just hours outside of the time on the stage.
Correct. And that's the part that people don't see, and that's also part of like why, as a musician, it's incredibly tough to rationalize kind of the aspect of like, oh, we want you to play for exposure, we want you to play to get your name out and all that. So I did so much of that in LA, like playing in front of a packed House of Blues, one of the best venues in the country, although I guess the LA one I think closed down. Whiskey A Go Go, all these places on the LA Strip, they are pay to play at this point, like pay us for the exposure or play for free. Like we put together all the best reggae bands in the area, and you guys are playing to a packed house tonight for free. Like I can't do that. I've been playing music since I was 8 years old. I invested in my education with music. I give my life for this thing, but like, yeah, it's all that. It's the amount of time that it takes, the amount of personal investment that it takes to make a song performance worthy, and to deliver that deliver that in an effective way.
Especially in Asheville. I think in Asheville, everybody always seems to want you to do something for nothing. I'm sure people want to have your space, right?
Well, I
Asheville
found
Beauty
it to
Academy.
be the opposite, and this is
That's
probably
good.
this is probably a unique perspective for this group right here. But I have found it that I've been able to make a living here. Not that I wasn't heading in a direction that just took longer, that would have probably had a much higher payout, but I would have been playing music that I don't like at all had I not left LA, which is why I left LA. I was like working in commercial studios, this group that was working with Interscope Records, and like it was there was places I could have gone where I was like, do I want to do this? What an amazing opportunity. And after some very serious soul searching, I was like, no, this is not the person I want to be. And so instead of doing all the like so many gigs for just exposure, you know, oh, this is going to help you guys out tremendously. Nothing hardly had ever come from that except more of those kinds of gigs. And so after that, when we decided to move here, within 2 short years, I was able to just do music full time, and I haven't looked back ever since.
Okay. Well, let's jump in. Let's take a break real quick, and then we'll come back and get back into it.
This podcast is brought to you by Peridot Consulting and Marketing Outpost. Peridot Consulting offers a new paradigm in accounting services. We work with individuals and businesses toward prosperity and financial happiness. Please visit www.peridotconsultinginc.com for more information. Marketing Outpost provides strategies to solve problems and strategies to grow your business. Please visit www.marketingoutpost.com for more information.
So now we're back, and we want to kind of circle back to a question that got started at the very beginning of this. Lenny, Morgan, and Charlie are not from Asheville, so I wanted to kind of have each person go around and tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get to Asheville, and then answer the question of how in the heck did you decide to start the business that you're in or get into that? Charlie?
I was actually born in Chattanooga, but I'm a Yankee. It's true. Raised up in New Hampshire and near Boston. I went out to the West Coast and spent a lot of time there, and then lived in Portland for about 8 years, and it rained in August. And I was done after 8 years. That August was the 1 month that you just had sun for 30 days. And it broke that promise. And I went to work that day and I said, I'm sorry, I love this place, but I quit. And it was actually at the Ace Hotel in the Clyde Common. And the owner of the Ace Hotel asked if I would move to Palm Springs. And I said, that sounds sunny. I'm in. So I spent a couple years bouncing back between LA and Palm Springs, but it was not really the right fit. And I've always heard about Asheville, and people likened Portland and Asheville a lot, but really the home run is one of my best friends. His grandmother raised him, and she was getting older, and he's like, I really need to move back to that area, and Asheville's 4 hours away, and I can handle Asheville. So I was like, I'll go. And it was probably the best thing I've ever done. Love this town. The sense of community, the sense of supporting each other it just blows your mind. It's really quite lovely.
And Charlie has brought many people into his life and into that circle, and including Morgan. Morgan, how did you get here? Because I think aren't you from the north?
Yes, I'm from Vermont, born and raised. Lived there my whole life and traveled a little bit, but never left. So when I graduated college, I was looking for a new place to check out. I have a huge family that I love, but they're all there. So it was a nice opportunity to not be there for a chance. And someone just told me that Asheville was cool and they thought I would like it. So I came to check it out and I never left.
Wow. And now all your family is coming down in November.
They sure are. So look out, Asheville.
And I have a
I'm
feeling
nervous. Who's nervous?
there might be some people moving here as well after that trip.
I
So
wouldn't be surprised, yeah.
you two both tend to bring your families though, because I know Charlie, I've met your parents, and they're like the best. Charlie and Morgan have a close-knit set of friends. I don't know Lenny as well, so tell us a little bit about your background, Lenny.
So I was like born and raised in Los Angeles, California. And,
Are you really from
I'm like
California?
totally from the Valley. So not just LA.
Do they
but
really
the
talk like
Valley.
that?
They
Seriously?
for sure talk like this.
Are you
like,
serious?
all the time.
For
I grew up in the 90s in the Valley. So yeah. Anyway.
That's hilarious.
And actually, that's one of my characters. Tuesday is my one night where I choose to be a sociopath for this jam that we host every Tuesday night. It used to be at Tressa's, and during that whole transition phase, we were like, oh no! We were heartbroken, and the One Stop graciously reached out to us right away and said, y'all come over here, do it right now. So we made it work. I am a different person from a different place every Tuesday night. And when I'm like, oh, this is Rod Rod, and he's totally from LA.
Wow.
Do you let on you're doing a character, or you just go with it?
So I do not ever let on. I do character. Several weeks ago, I was Ivan Leonid Lokia from Latvia. And several weeks before that, I was Rory Shanahan from Ireland. And I actually would tell people, I'm from LA, from St. Monastery, Ireland, which of course isn't even a real place, at least not as far as I know. And a sweet Irish talked my way into several shots of Jameson after the show, because I never brought character. And I'm introducing people as different names as well. Our bassist, JP. I said, all the way from Norway, Mr. Leif Bjorn Eriksson on the bass guitar. People are coming up to him and saying, Leif is the Leaf bass playing, bro. So the commitment is truly big.
Oh, wow.
But now, can you actually do Southern redneck?
I don't know if I could do it any kind of real justice, but I'll give it my best effort. My wife is from South Carolina, so she's a Clemson Tiger. She's originally from Camden.
You might need to slow it down a little bit.
That's some South Carolina Southern. That's good.
Just do what I can when I can. But
So
that's what I feel like I can't. My wife has told me that it means so much to her. Like the Southern accent is sacred. Don't screw with that one.
No, don't mess
She'll
with
let me do all the other ones.
But now, when did you came here to Asheville in 2012?
I did. So I grew up, did all my zeros through high school graduation in LA. Then I actually went as far as I possibly could from that concrete jungle while still staying in the state to 300-foot tall redwood trees. The most beautiful thing ever. I did not just go there for the weed, although the weed is amazing. But it's in Humboldt. I went to Humboldt State University and studied world music and composition and orchestration and all that stuff. And really, it took me 6 years because every time I tried to take biology, it interfered with my jazz big bands and combos. So I was like,
Who needs
I'm not doing the combos. So I just took my time, came back down and worked in the belly of the beast in the LA music scene for 5 years. From 2007 to early 2012, my wife and I moved 5 times. We got robbed 4 times. Like just
This is in LA?
Yeah.
So you met your wife in LA?
We met in Humboldt,
Oh.
and she actually got her degree from Clemson and drove out and was living in Humboldt at the same time I was going to school there. But she was there for 5 years. I was there for 7 years. We didn't meet until last year. So anyway, in LA, we decided we were just walking. We were totally taking a nice, pleasant walk on the bluffs in Malibu overlooking the Santa Monica Pier. And we just see, the beautiful, serene ocean.
And there was a billboard,
and then
Asheville.
this giant, creepy cloud of orange smog, starting right at the Ferris wheel and just intensifying as it goes. We're like, what the hell are we doing here?
That was actually, that hit me like a brick. Like there were days where it rained and you're like, what are these foothill mountains around here that I never see before?
Because all of a sudden you had visibility. Because just the smog was so dense
It's mountains.
that the rain would take it down.
Yeah.
Right.
And you're like, this is
smog.
scary.
Yes.
And it
Talking
looks
about
like
smog.
mountains.
Yeah. I mean, we're not
you don't
talking.
see anything to a certain degree, but you
We've
just
heard
kind of
about
see
that
it
in
as.
Vermont.
And then also going from Palm Springs to LA, you're coming in and you just see this band of brown.
Yeah.
over the city, and you're like, it's a healthy city, and people are a lot of vegan stuff, but I don't know.
For me, every time I would drive back down to visit family from Humboldt to Los Angeles, you could feel it as you crest the I-5, the grapevine coming down.
How did you
LA.
choose Asheville, though?
So Sarah introduced me to Asheville. She's from Camden, and she, her family would come to visit when they were younger. Anyway, she left Humboldt. She came out here for a year. So we had spent 1 week together in Asheville, my first time ever in 2007. First day I was here, I said, I could live in a place like this. Second day I said, I could live here. Third day I said, I want to live here. And by the end of the week I said, we're going to live here someday. And it took us 5 years. But yeah, after 5 moves and 4 robberies and a bunch of souring experiences on the seriously cutthroat, because you hit the nail on the head, Charlie, like the amount of community support, the tightness, especially in the arts, or at least in the music. I don't know what the River Arts is, or the Paint Claymore, but I imagine it's equally as supportive. But like in the music community, this is unlike anything I've ever seen, where it's not like competitive. Everybody's working together. We all collaborate. We're all creating new themed shows, hybrid bands. For
It's funny that doesn't
events.
actually extend in business too, because our podcast with Travis at Dolo, he said the same thing, that in the marketing world, you think there'd be a lot of competition, but actually everybody's not. We're very supportive of one another. And I think that is very true.
I really think it's in the soil. When you think of Appalachia and you think of the history, I think you come in and you breathe that air. Because people talk about that all the
You're
time.
not breathing smog anymore?
Well, maybe just a little bit of, coal smoke coming from the other side there, but, definitely nothing on par with LA smoke.
Okay, so I want to hear you guys tell me what the best part of what it is you do, and then what is the worst part of what it is you do.
Let's see. I think my favorite part of the job is hosting really fun events, and basically my role, especially at Shakey's, it's kind of easy to do this, is like if it doesn't sound stupid and silly and I don't laugh and say, oh, that's so stupid, we don't do it. So that's kind of like the guideline for that. So those are always fun.
I think at Shakey's, there's not expectations. People just go to have a good time.
Yeah, definitely. So it's my job to make the good time happen. So
Is the dog thing going to be annual or
the dog is
biannual?
definitely going to be annual. And
I suggested that we move it to somewhere larger, but
I said no.
Charlie said no.
Shakey's can handle it.
Dude.
Shakey's is going to own the dog show.
I will-
by
The
the
dog
way.
show's the best thing.
I will enter definitely.
No.
Wait a minute.
Booty Tuesday.
And miniature golf and the limo. Come on, we've
They even have a
Super
really
party.
old limo, and they will
Had
pick you up.
Sheila gave up. Yeah, we had to retire.
Is there mini golf there?
There was.
We did putt like the second summer that we were there, and that was just fun. And people were like,
How can we put a permanent course in there?
"Well, we don't want
No,
to,"
we don't want to.
but because it kept changing. And honestly, I think when we sat down, we were like, "This used to be a biker bar," and I felt like it was a space that I didn't want to go to because I felt like I didn't want to disrespect that. But then when you get in there and you realize that people are phenomenal and they receive everyone really well. And I think the putt-putt was what's probably the most disarming thing that we could do? Miniature golf.
Yeah.
And everyone loved it. It was fun. It was a fun
Shakey's
party.
even has its own cat, resident
That's
cat.
right. Bob. He's got his own Instagram.
Yes.
Actually.
Whoa.
Phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So what's
4,000.
Might be better than the Shakey's Instagram.
What
Who does
would you
that?
say is the worst thing about your work?
I would say Instagram.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, social
Amen.
media is for Shakey's,
Yeah.
it's kind of fun and I like it, but I don't have the time for it. And I know that I'm not doing as good a job as I should. So that's a stress point for me. And
I would not lose sleep over that.
No, thanks. And then I think just being on call all the time is 99% of my life. It's totally fine and I'm good with it. And then sometimes I'm just wow, I need a break.
Because you guys have extended hours. It used to close down at 8. Now
yeah, and
it
even when
doesn't.
we're closed, it doesn't really matter because
Right.
something always happens. Like that's a
Right.
general rule. I think it's
Right.
like literally something is always broken. If it doesn't break before you fix the last thing, and then it's a good day.
Right,
So,
right.
yeah.
What about you, Charlie?
Probably. So now Sovereign is 5 years old. We just had a really great friend come back and help us open up Beauty Academy. And so this guy came in to Sovereign. He was a busboy, a bar back when he first started. And, 2 years later, he's the bar manager. And then at some point, he's like, I was only supposed to be in Asheville for a few moments and finish my schooling. And he went to New York to continue his education. And then he worked at one of the voted best bars in the country. And so I love being the conductor. I used to be a bartender, and I think of it like I used to be first chair and be the lead bartender, but now I get to conduct all these beautiful people and hopefully raise their talent and their challenge. And I absolutely love that, creating that space for people. What I don't love is just the financial responsibility. I get so worried all the time about, am I heading in the right direction for everyone? We're going to go broke? Because honestly, you can be doing crazy well, but when that bank account hits zero, game's over and you're done. And
your business is a huge cash heavy business.
Yes.
People don't probably realize how much goes out on a daily, weekly basis.
And it's having that volume, but also finding the space to keep some of that in there. We want to pay everyone a way that they can live in Asheville in a comfortable way. We want to create health insurance, but the big challenge is Asheville is unique. It's growing like crazy.
It's very competitive too.
There's so much saturation right now.
Yeah.
And it's changing so much.
Yeah.
And so the game, the way that you perfectly ran a business 5 years ago is a very different game now. So now something that we might have been really great at, we have to adapt and change. And I think the scariest thing for me, or my biggest fear, is am I going to be good enough to adapt? And am I going to lead? I have 60 employees now, and I get scared about taking care of them.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to come back to
scary.
your business advice. But Lenny, what would you say is the worst and best thing about what you do?
Well, firstly, let me say, it seems like y'all are doing something right. Things keep going up and up, So I'm assuming that's why you chose that name.
Yeah.
And keep at it. I know it always looks scary.
More
Because
of a
trust me,
role
folks,
name,
can I
but-
curse just a little bit?
Yeah.
I am scared shitless. So many times, looking at our band's finances, what in God's name happened here? And then I look and I'm like, oh, okay, all this is that, all right. Oh, all right. And now it's finally at a very organized place after me kind of working on cleaning house here for the past few years and a better path of accounting organization, especially thanks to John Michael and advice we've gotten from him over the years. Everything is kind of moved where it needs to be. We set aside things, but absolutely right. When that bank account hits zero, it's toast. When for me, the best part is the thing I was at one of my solo gigs. I actually get the privilege of playing the grand piano in the Great Hall of the Grove Park Inn every Monday night from 7 to 10. And I will meet some amazing people there. And I just met either the son or grandson, I believe it would have to be, of Irving Mills, I think, who worked with Duke Ellington. And I played some Duke Ellington. He loved it. All sorts of amazing people have given me the warmest possible feedback. But this one gentleman said, he was a Nashville guy, and there's this guy there who's, he's like both. He just would lead everything, and that, just as you love to conduct, I do too. I love to lead this 9-piece band. I love to do all of that, to see all the moving pieces, to inspire, to push everyone in my outfit to do that. But the biggest result, the best thing, right, for me is when when you perform, and as this gentleman put it, you have no idea how much joy you bring to other people. And that was such an amazing thing, and I believe that's exactly what you all are trying to create, right? That's what we're in this thing to do, is give the best possible experience to our patrons, our audience, our customers, right? We're trying to create the best possible experience and environment for them. The worst part is every person that you add into a very tight-knit organization with kind of more of an equilateral structure is very challenging. Is like almost like having another girlfriend, boyfriend,
Spouse.
wife, husband. It's that level. It's like in between like family and friend. It really is.
And you have
And
to be,
lover almost.
You have
And
to be
lover.
very careful and choosy.
You know, and many times even physical, love boundaries are crossed in so many different bands. But it's like friend, family,
I can only
lover,
imagine.
which sounds incestual and crazy.
Stereotypically
but
speaking.
it is Fleetwood Mac, however, countless others, all sorts of husband-wife duos. Heck, my wife and I play music together whenever we can. I'm sorry, baby, I know it's not enough, especially since we had the baby. But anyway, so that's the biggest the biggest challenge I feel is getting everybody on the same page in a diplomatic way where you can still move forward quickly. And honestly, I hit a wall with that artistically for this record in order for us to stay on timeline. I just basically hit a place where I said, okay, guys, we've hit that place. I'm just going to keep doing shit until someone tells me to stop. And that's just the way it's going to be if we're going to get this done. So if you don't appreciate something that I'm doing, you really need to let me know. Otherwise, I'm going to assume I have your blessings and I'm going.
And good for you.
And we did it, man. And this is like this record that we just made. It is, we're all so incredibly proud of it, and it pays off, but it's so challenging.
And
A 9-piece band. It's like 8. Yeah, it's.
What's the name of this new record coming out?
Brasterpiece Theater.
Brasterpiece Theater.
That's right.
So something that you mentioned, and Morgan also mentioned, is that the social media and the marketing and the PR.
I was gonna wait for the tech piece.
So I'm asking the question, and no offense to me, but how has technology affected and changed your businesses? No offense to me, because I actually, I'm kind of one of those marketing people that also agrees with that, because we do get very lost in it. And sometimes we over prioritize those aspects of, promoting our business to the point where we have lost joy in our business. So I want each of you to answer that question. How has technology helped or hindered in your fields?
If you ask anyone that works in me, I look towards technology.
Charlie's like, it's not on my phone. It's not happening.
I think every other person that I works with me directly with everything is not on board as much as I am. But my thing is like how lean you can be, how little you can reproduce tasks and just get the technology to help you is amazing. So I like that. I'm also a very things get put down and I don't remember where they are and this and that. And if everything's on my phone and clouded, it really works for me in a great way.
I want to know, I got a personal question, Charlie, because I know Charlie because I'm a frequent daily visitor to Sovereign Remedies. It's my way of kind of shutting down for the day from work, and then sort
That's
of
true. I know if I want to see Maury, I know to go to Sovereign Remedies.
My
at 5
unofficial
o'clock.
other office is Sovereign Remedies.
Yeah.
So I know that in a way things might look scattered, but you seem to have a way of organizing things.
Yes. I just keep working. Really
You
fast.
just keep bringing endless hours.
I did want to ask you this question because I was thinking about this today, right? And I'm not in my 20s or 30s, and I often feel like social media seems like I'm trying to act younger than I am. and it's less truthful than I am. And I wonder, like, how do you use social media in a way that matches my age or my maturity, that it feels not like, look at me, but it's like a sincere way that I want to communicate to people.
In a genuine, authentic kind of
Well,
way.
one suggestion is I always suggest and promote being authentic to your voice, which is why I always say be careful who you assign your social media accounts to, because if they are not really part of who you are, then they're not going to sound authentic. But one thing that companies are doing is sort of assigning different people within the organization who love social media and are part of your organization or your business, and they love what you do, and so they don't mind posting, giving them access with some guidelines to post on your behalf, as long as it's all business related. I do highly suggest that. I mean, I know you have to be careful, but it is something where that voice then can be out there. Social media is not going away.
So I hope this doesn't sound horrible, but like, we have people that are very much excited about it, and they personally use a lot of social media in their life, and they are great. Should I consider that this is a perfect device to communicate to the people that are in that like 20s, 30-year-olds, and like that's a great broadcast there, versus like what I want to do for people that are...
I think you all should be on there.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of businesses, no matter what type of business, whether it's a bar to accounting to marketing to funeral home, I hate to say that, but even that, I think they all can have a voice, and I think multiple people can share in that voice, and that they each can articulate it to their audience. So it is a matter of really defining what that is and sitting down with someone and saying, hey, I'd like you to be a social media ambassador on my business account, but here are some guidelines. Here's what we believe. Do you agree with that? And if you agree with that, so for example, it may be, I don't want any negative social posts, because who wants more negative? There's already enough of that. Number two, you might say, here's what I value. Do you agree with that? And then what do you value and what do you see in this business? Then once you establish those kind of basic structures, say, okay, and you can give them limited access rights. That's one thing that social media did do, is sort of kind of give that access rights. And then you can let them speak on your behalf. And I think when people do that, you're sharing that responsibility. When people like that, they'll take it a little bit more seriously. They're like, oh, wait a minute. I'm speaking on behalf of Sovereign or Asheville Beauty Academy or Shakeys. They'll kind of pay attention to that. And then you just watch what happens. But I think it gives people an opportunity to prove themselves, as well as prove how much they care about your business.
Thanks. That's great.
So I think social media needs to get outside of a structured environment. I do know we need to be careful about it, but I also think we need to get out of it being so structured and like planned and scripted and organized, because people read right through that.
Yep.
So, Morgan, what would you say?
What was the question about how technology affects what I do? Well, my partner loves technology and I hate it, so that's one thing.
And you know, Shakeys is almost like a secret. It's not going to be after this podcast, but it is kind of a secret little fun place to go.
Kind of a part of our brand. So there's a piece of that is strategic when I do social media for Shakeys, certainly. But technology, I mostly just really don't like it.
What is it you don't like?
I just feel like I'm always fighting with it. Like, I'm like, this isn't working. Like, I think it's supposed to work, or I've been told that it works. And then Charlie walks into the room and it starts working immediately. Like, he's a magic angel person. And I'm just like, I don't understand why this isn't working.
Are you talking like the Wi-Fi system or point of sale system, or
like
the
I can
Instagram?
never get the printer to actually send paper out of the words on it, or like it says it's connected, but it's not working, and then like
technical issues.
I think I saved something in my calendar and then it's not there, and then I'm panicking because like I thought it was there, but if it was down on paper, then I would know that it was there. Because I grew up in Vermont,
we do before all that technology when you really consider that?
I mean, my mom was like sticky notes all over her car of like reminders, and that's who I am now too.
And her mom is amazing. She'll be here in November.
I am so interested in
November 15th.
I'm looking forward to meeting the whole clan.
Yeah. Yep. They're going to be a hoot. Yeah, we actually hand-selected some bands for that weekend, so they're going to be here dancing if you want to catch them. You know where to find them.
Okay, so Lenny, how would you say technology has helped or hindered?
So many different ways, but just in a nutshell, you know, the advances with GPS and computing. I mean, I remember having a delivery job when I was a senior in high school, and I had to look at the map, you know, like plan my entire route to this customer's house to drop off a pizza, you know, and that's not a thing anymore.
You just
Like,
follow the
it's
GPS.
just not a thing. And so that is one thing that's helped tremendously. You know, and I don't think I got my first smartphone until like 2010 or something, but game changer. And then scoring apps, but by scoring I mean like physically notating music, right? I used to use this software called Finale, which is incredible. I still use Finale. There's also Sibelius, numerous others. But now there's a free one called MuseScore, and it's like universal and Mac or any kind of PC, and it's free. And so it's super badass. And then really like Square POS for merch. You know, so using the little Square card readers for point of sale for merch, which another thing, you know, even back to the stereotype and the hard aspects of music. People think touring is like incredibly glamorous and so much fun. It is not. It's insanely hard work. You never get to spend any time in these places. You show up after a super long drive. You set up your sound check. If you're lucky, you get to walk around a little bit, maybe grab some food. You play, you break down, you go to hotel, rinse and repeat. You know, it's not very glamorous in that regard. But so that has helped make touring so much easier, those two things, GPS and POS. And then as far as like other aspects of tech, the same kind of things, wrestling with like how to be more authentic and genuine on your social media. That's like the main thing that I want more than any other thing right now for our wheel. We've got booking, we've got incredible booking. Intrepid, thank you, you're incredible. Our management, Zali, Zach, you're fantastic. So I mean, we have a great machine going, but we don't have that social media wizard. And we do have someone in the band, several people within the band that use it, and it works and it's great. But like, there's something to it, you know. And it's also the pull. It's like I want to bring in the right person who has exactly the right pull. But that side of it, I absolutely don't want to do that. But it does need to be done. As you said, it's not going anywhere. So I'd say that's one way that's both helped and hindered, because however you wield that tool directly affects, you know, your stature and the business that will come in. People will pay more attention to a band with more than 10,000 likes than they will with 5,000 likes. Right now we're in between 5 and 10, but also it is now just like on autopilot. People are liking it. It's like every day, you know, once past a certain point.
Okay, so we're going to finish, I think, with two more questions. I've got a quick question. I just want you guys to give me the quick 30-second answer on this question is, where do you think your industry is going to go in the next 5 or 10 years? Where do you see the changes in your industry? Just a real quick answer, and then I have a longer question.
Okay, so I see the industry heading in a direction of basically more collaboration between organic and electronic instruments. I see performance market values being driven down for basic level performance, which I feel will only force the performance art to get better and be of higher quality if you actually want to make a living. It's going to be like kind of, you know, one side's going to go down. It's like, oh, you guys are only playing for tips. And the other side, it's going to cost even more to have great music. The competitiveness with the thing, as far as Asheville pertains, you know, the competitiveness between businesses and venues, musicians feel the other side of that. It's only more and more opportunities as the place booms. and I think that's like a worldwide thing. In metropolises, you're going to see performance market values get driven down, but also as things boom, it's a very careful balance as far as how many people are moving into your city and how many new businesses and new places to perform. Right. So that's what I say.
I would say I just think it's going to have to diversify a little bit more because everything is getting really saturated, especially in Asheville. So I think we're probably just going to see a more wide variety of concepts and experiences. And we're certainly trying to do that here. We just put a draft cocktail system in downstairs that we're pretty excited about.
I mean, where the industry is going overall, and then also where Asheville is going. I mean, as we've been saying, like it's been changing so much, and I'm excited. I think there's a real sincerity of hospitality here, but I think what's going to have to happen, or at least what I'm feeling in my businesses, is that I have to mature, and I also know what my limits are and how to bring in specialists and how to afford to bring in specialists and to take that next risk. But drinking and eating, people are doing forever, and I think we just got to be good at it and continue to be good at it. So I don't see that change. I do hope to see people feeling comfortable to put the value down for the experience, for the band that is 9 people that have spent hours upon hours upon hours upon hours of their life to their music, to play it well, to pay for the instrument that costs thousands of dollars, to do all that for the everyone involved, the kitchen team that is so engaged in the culinary experience, and getting them to the level, and so I constantly feel the struggle of asking for the appropriate money to pay people the appropriate way. I hope we can get there.
And final question is, what advice would you give to others in your industry or looking to enter your industry?
Other than don't do it.
Right. That was actually going to be probably the first thing I said, but kind of as a joke, but also not. One very last note, because Charlie told me something incredible that I think is super awesome that goes on the tech. Can I mention the Venmo thing?
Yeah.
So this is a super incredible, innovative idea he was saying, and this is like, this kind of vision, what they're doing with what y'all are doing with your spaces, is like really, we need this for the future of where all the entertainment, hospitality, performance, where that intersection happens. But while band is playing, people don't carry cash that much anymore, right? So you got like an actual screen behind them that has their Venmo handle, so that people can like tip the band right there as they're playing.
Love that.
Amazing idea, and should do it.
I love that.
Please,
we're working on it now.
That going out, and so
those budding musicians, the advice you would give if they want to get in.
Don't do it, but do it. It's amazing. If you need to do it. So if you need to do it, and that's what you're going to do with your life,
follow your path.
Then you absolutely must diversify. If you play drums, learn how to play something else so you can also get solo gigs, or hit some sort of trigger pads to accompany your drumming, that make it more than just someone playing drums. Because that was cool for the soundtrack to Birdman, but probably won't work for any kind of a restaurant gig. No one's going to stick around for solo drumming. I don't know, maybe I'm speaking too harshly generally, but in my opinion, being able to do a solo thing, being able to have some knowledge of music creation, production software, being able to run sound, being able to understand how all that stuff is run, to be able to understand how booking works, being able to understand how buying works, being able to understand event production. So you can see these things from all sides of the angle, from every angle, and actually like understand the entire machine and kind of operate within those boundaries. So make it more, and also practice, get damn good, because it is competitive, and although it is still a community, like, you're not going to get work if you're not good at what you're doing, right? But like Charlie also said, musicians, it's going to be around forever if you are good. And also I've heard this a ton, which, you know, as a leader, sometimes I have to be mean a little bit sometimes, but you know, if you can, as far as like just being in a band, being working things, like attitude is the biggest piece. It's all about the hang. And as long as you can do the gig, if you're also a really cool person, you'll have that gig forever. If you're an asshole and you're incredible, you might not have that gig.
Don't be a douchebag.
Yeah, that's good.
And Morgan, your advice.
Advice. I would say, first of all, no matter how much work you're putting into opening a place, take the time to do your social media and your marketing before you open, which is not something that we've ever had the opportunity to do, but it gets more prevalent every time. And then I think just slow and steady, and like, especially in a town like this, you just like, people can see the energy that you put in when you take your time and you just like build things up from the bottom.
That's one thing I've always appreciated about Sovereign. It started off, and then layers after layers got added over time to improve it. I like that. Okay, Charlie?
So probably the best advice that I ever got that I try to get back to, SCORE is an amazing resource. And when I opened my first place in Portland, we had this really old kind of, I mean, you couldn't record him on tape. You just had the words enough. But old salty restaurateur, and he said, just know that every day that you go in, your job is to fix the 5 things that broke, the person that called in and quit, this, that, whatever. And if you can embrace the fact that that's what you walk into every day and that's your job, then you don't build that resentment of like, oh, this is happening, and my expectations that I'm going to have this full day of getting stuff done. Some days I'm good at holding that. Some days I'm really horrible at it. But just walking into what you have to walk into, taking care of it.
Accepting all the things that your work involves.
Love it.
Pause for a second. Okay, well, we're going to wrap up. I'm going to let you guys finish up and say your goodbyes.
So tell us your websites, any kind of shout outs you want to do, and last minute things that you want to say about your businesses or promote.
Alrighty, I'll go first here. Empire Strikes Brass. We have EmpireStrikesBrass.com. We're on Spotify, iTunes, Pandora, all that kind of stuff. Actually, we might not be on Pandora yet, but that's in the works. We have our second record. Our first record is Theme for a Celebration. Our second record, which we just finished, is Brass Trapeze Theater. It's a 10-song record, and we just did an exclusive Asheville CD release. So if you want the record, please pre-order it. We'll get it to you if you're in town. We're also doing vinyl for this. Really some landmark achievements for this band for our second record. But keep up with us. We're on Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, Empire Strikes Brass. And yeah, as far as the music business goes, it's ever growing, ever changing, but it's always going to be here. And you can check me out personally, Lenny Pettinelli. I have Lenny Pettinelli Music on Facebook, and I always put a calendar with all of my monthly shows up every month. And I just want to say how much I appreciate and absolutely love working with every venue that I've ever worked with in this town, in this region. Everyone is so hospitable, has this same mentality of support, of community. So thank you guys for doing what you do, Asheville Beauty Academy. This venue is incredible, continuing the amazing legacy of Tressa's, and hopefully just improving upon it every single day in every way. I heard you guys, it's at least a rumor, Cuban Thursdays, is that happening in November?
Rumor as of now.
It's a rumor.
All right. I hope that
We're
rumor
still hoping that
comes into fruition.
the stars align. We're still
I
hoping
hope
that.
this
Stay
rumor
tuned.
comes
Stay
into
tuned.
play. I will help them design a template. Another aspect of tech. that this whole digital soundboard stuff, man, everything is getting awesome. So big shout out to the entire ESB crew, to all of the Funk Jam folks at Asheville Music Hall, to Mike Wheat, to all the folks at Lobster Trap, Marketplace, Orange Peel, Salvage Station, Shakeys Beauty Academy, Tressa, we love you. Thank you for everything over the years. So many shout outs to every event, 5 Walnut, every place, all the time. Like, Asheville would not be Asheville without the music, and it takes so much more than the musicians. You guys give us a home, and I'm so incredibly grateful for it. Thank you all thank you guys for doing this thing and for having us on. This has been a joy, and honestly, it stinks to compress it all in. We could go on, I feel like.
Hey, another drink, I'm good for another hour.
There's so much to talk about.
Then
here.
the topics will totally change.
Mainly with the way the business landscape in Asheville is changing. So just one last thing on Asheville. Yes, it's growing, it's changing, it's booming, but it is still a town, a city that will basically reward hard work and skill, I feel, especially if you're just willing to entwine yourself in this community and be a part of supporting all your peers and colleagues and professional.
I agree with that.
peers.
The barriers to entry are a lot less. So, Morgan?
Let's see. Well, we got a lot going on right now. We're in the parlor room of Asheville Beauty Academy, which is the second floor. You can find us at avlbeautyacademy.com. This is our private event space, so we're hoping to get some holiday parties and nonprofit events up here over the winter. We've got live music and DJs going on downstairs, and our draft cocktail system that I mentioned earlier. So we've got 4 killer cocktails coming off the tap right now down there. And then Shakeys, as always, go see it if you love it. If you don't, you probably won't like it. So
I don't know of anybody that doesn't like Shakeys.
there are very few, and they just won't.
But
will
you
never,
really don't
you
want
know,
them
exactly.
there anyway.
You could say people that might hate camping. Good age.
And ice cream.
And puppies.
Yeah.
And unicorns. So.
Yes, all those things. I mean, I just feel really lucky that we get to be here in Asheville and be part of this. Sovereign just hit our 5-year, 3 years ago.
Birthday.
Thank you. 3 years ago, we had an amazing place where we grew.
Can I just say that Sovereign Remedies used to be this really old lawyer's office that was boarded up and dusty, and I recall that place. And when I first walked into that place, I was so floored at how Charlie had taken that nasty looking office that it was just like an old library, musky, but not the kind of library you really want to be in, and transformed it.
But it had crown molding and like 12-foot
It
high
did. It
windows.
had all these beautiful features
That
that
were covered up.
nobody knew about.
Well, supposedly you could hire friendship outside the window, and they just covered it
Well,
up. Back in
and
the
Charlie was
dark
able to
days.
take that space and really transform
How much has
it.
changed?
Yeah.
Now it's my second home.
Yeah, it's quite lovely, and so a little while ago we really doubled down on our vision about food, and so Chef Graham House works with us. He grew up around here, went all over the world, and his food is literally some of the most amazing stuff I've ever had in my life. His approach and the amount of local farmers and producers that we employ, I am told from the farmers that it's absurd how much we do that. And I love that we do that. And I love that we have that there. So I really encourage people to come in and eat this gorgeous food that's grown in Appalachia and Graham's approach on it. I love that we get to support the artists here and musicians and this house and what we can do here. So
Asheville Beauty Academy is wonderful. I'm glad that you're continuing that tradition. I actually met my husband here.
Oh, yeah?
15 years ago when it was Tressa's. I remember when I first moved here, Tressa's had only been here maybe a couple years ahead of me. And so it does have a long, long history.
It
And
was
so
one of the first places I took my wife on a date was Tresses way back
Wow.
when.
So Tresses has a lot.
Magic
You
happens
had
here.
some matchmaking, probably some baby making.
I think she did at least 20, right? It was 20-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I know someone at Sovereign suggested we get a T-shirt that says "Making babies for 4 years" because that was the date night a little bit. Now
It was. I remember coming here and anyway, I really can't talk about those stories. So I'm glad that you are continuing the tradition. I was really excited. I was actually here a couple weekends ago and it was a lot of fun. So looking forward to what the future holds.
Thank you.
Actually, Lenny played the opening night.
And
That was fabulous.
he also helped us and really kind of gave us some bearings. And so it was, again, this town really kind of supports each other. Tressa connected us with Lenny and really said, hey, how do we do this? Because we know how to have fun and throw really wild parties, but booking music and doing that it's a learning curve.
I think the
Using the new
challenge
digital
now
mixer.
is downtown Asheville's become so touristy, but you guys are really trying to, I think, stay the course with being an independent, more music venue type of club. Is that right?
Definitely.
And then you have this upstairs, which you have been using to have some really great nonprofit organizations in here and have their events and private events. So I really like that.
It's a beautiful space.
And the locals lounge coming soon.
Am I a local?
You're in.
Heck yeah. So with that being said, John Michael, do you have anything else to add?
No, I'm just very, I'm an accountant, so I'm not used to being cool. And I feel like I'm in a cool crowd right now, so I'm just kind of taking it in.
Can I hear you say the word pianist one more time?
Pianist.
That's too much emphasis.
I have to overemphasize.
I really enjoyed the pianist, though.
Pianist.
The first time you said it, first two times it was pianist. So.
I can't even pianist.
Don't they say behind every great business is a great accountant?
I've heard.
They should.
I've heard. They should say that.
I actually do believe that.
Yeah.
Every great business knows an accountant. We'll just say that.
The stuff that I learned from you in terms of just business organization of make sure you allocate funds here, all this and that, especially in terms of expenses and all that kind of stuff that we do, because at the end of the day, we are spending so much to create a product, and so many organizations, so many musicians. This is one stereotype that so many, they don't keep track of that kind of stuff. And you have to, it's, big giant corporations can do it. Then small bands should be keeping track of their expenses and making sure.
I know you've been with him a long time when you're talking about
I mean, it just needs to happen, and it for me, it was life-changing, and also, having a family to get everything going, to get in order. So thank you. Thank you for doing what you do.
Well,
Accountants, the best.
Yeah,
Heroes.
thank you. I appreciate that. I get a shout out from Mr. Lenny Pettinelli.
Yes.
That's quite humbling. I appreciate that. Well, thank you guys again, and we want to thank the listeners for joining us today. Please be sure to review this episode for more information on who we are or this podcast. Please visit www.bammit.com. That's BAMM-IT.com. And join us for our next episode where we're going to be talking about the brewing industry and talk to a brewer.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
The hosts and the guests of this podcast make no warranty, guarantee, or representation as to the accuracy or sufficiency of the information featured in this podcast. The information, opinions, and recommendations presented in this podcast are for general information only, and any reliance on the information provided in this podcast is done at your own risk. This podcast should not be considered professional advice and is for entertainment purposes. It is not guaranteed that you will find this as entertaining as the hosts find themselves.